Welcome. This is Cindy Bernal from Pueblo. Thank you for joining us today. I'm very excited to have the health department share and sponsor our information. I'm from Pueblo, executives partnering to invest in children. We are a group of business folks, large and small, from throughout Pueblo County, and educators. And we really are out here trying to educate and share information to children and families and educators and community members at large about the value of brain development and early literacy. So today we're going to talk a little bit about who we really are and the different things we have going on in the community that we'd like people to know, because Pueblo really is a great group of very dedicated volunteers. I mean, we have agencies represented from throughout the county, not, as I said, big and large businesses, as well as government agencies. Both the university and PCC, the community college, are represented on our board, as well as people from Department of Corrections serve on our board. We have educators, early childhood educators, as well as upper education representatives. So we have a wide variety of people that really strongly believe in child growth and development, young children and families, and want to provide support to them. So that's why we kind of do what we do. So as I said, this is Cindy Bernal, the Community Outreach Coordinator from Pueblo, executives partnering to invest in children. So what do we do? Our mission is very strong for us. Everything we do revolves around our mission statement. So I don't usually read my presentations to folks, but I do read the mission statement because I think it's so critical that you understand who we are and why we do what we do. So Pueblo is a non-for-profit organization which was organized to engage and mobilize the business community of Southern Colorado to initiate program, provide resources, support, coordinate, and foster those individuals and organizations that are at the forefront of early childhood development, especially those who promote lifelong reading availability of books, parental instruction, guidance, and involvement in early childhood education. So that's kind of a mouthful, and what that means kind of in a nutshell is that we really strongly believe and work hard to get our message out that early childhood is such a critical time in anyone's life. And so we want to make it the best and positive we can for all children in our community so they have a healthy start and they become productive human beings of our society. So our vision really is to nurture those young children so that as they grow up and they take on a career and they learn and they become leaders in our community, whether they're teachers or educators or faith-based leaders or military or whatever walk of life they go into, that they're prepared as a human being to do whatever it is that they choose to do with the rest of their life. And so we really want to make sure that we're giving them the best foundation we can at a young age, so when they hit what school system calls formal education, which is kindergarten, although for most of us educators, early childhood educators, we feel 0 through 5 is foundational. So we want to make sure that all of our kids have that strong foundation. So when they get into upper education and they get into kindergarten, the elementary school, middle school, high school, college, whatever they do, or if they go for a career, that's okay. Whatever they choose to do, we want to make sure that they're prepared to do that and they're healthy human beings and that they've been supported and nurtured through their life to get to that point. So I'm a big one for quotes with young children because I think there are so many smart people out there that really understand young children and really have left an impact. And certainly Mr. Rogers is one that I think most of us grew up with. So he's one of my favorite. And he always says, it all starts day one. Together we can make a difference. Anyone who does anything to help a child in his life is a hero to me, Mr. Rogers. So that would make all of us heroes, correct? I think so. I like to think that I'm a hero to some children that I've interacted with over the years, which have been many. My background is in early childhood. I was in the classroom. I started as a family child care provider in my home, and then I went to school and became an educator in the classroom, and and I worked in a child abuse prevention intervention program for the health department, and I've done a variety of things. And I retired from Pueblo Community College as a department director in the Children First department, which really supports early education for educators and for families and for communities in 11 counties of southeastern Colorado. So I've done this my entire career, and I'm very passionate about it, and I really enjoy what I do. So I think Mr. Rogers is right on. Together we can make a difference, and you can never stop making a difference. It's a lifelong opportunity to help children grow and thrive. So EPIC executives partner to invest in children. We strongly believe that if you start behind, you stay behind. And we don't want any of our children to feel that way when they get to school, that they didn't have that early opportunity. They didn't have nurturing and support when they were little, and all of a sudden they have to go to kindergarten and they didn't get that support, and they're kind of trying to catch up. And we don't want that to happen to any of our children. So we want to make sure that we're there to help parents help their child. Because research has shown that a child that has not had those early years, those early opportunities of support and caring, start kindergarten with maybe a vocabulary of about 12,000 words. Those children that have had that opportunity have had an opportunity to go to a preschool program, Head Start program, some kind of early care program. Even a family child care home is an early childhood education program. If the child has those opportunities, when they get to kindergarten, their vocabulary is 3,000 plus words. They know at least 3,000 or more words in their vocabulary. They start ready to learn and to be successful. Children that come with less than that have not had that early experience, struggle to try to catch up. And we don't want any of our children in our community to struggle. We want Pueblo County's children, every one of them, to have the opportunity to be successful in their life and in their education as they move forward. Through research, again, society will pay on an average of $50,000 to make up for that gap when that child turns 18. And that is because that child is still trying to catch up. That child is still trying to figure out how they need to do. And they get discouraged along the way. And unfortunately, that's why we have some children that drop out of school. That's very sad, that they feel so challenged and like they're just not making it, that they feel like they just can't do it. So they drop out when they get a chance. And we don't want our children to feel that way. We want them to engage in education. We want them to enjoy it and to learn and to move forward. And California is a really sad situation with their educational system. They base their prison system, the capacity, on the third grade reading levels. Now think about that for a second. We know that in our school systems nationwide, children are tested along the way to see, kind of assess them where they're at. Third grade, there's this standard levels that the child should be able to do this and this and this. And oftentimes children fall below that level, and oftentimes they fall above it or they climb above it. So California, unfortunately, in their thinking and thought process, thought that if they look at what those third grade reading scores are, what those third grade assessments look like, that will tell them years down the road how much of a prison system they need to build to have capacity for those souls of people that will end up in their system, which is a really sad state to be in, I believe. And I don't mean state by California state, I mean a state of being. To be in that kind of a situation where you look at a child and say in third grade, okay, him, and him, and her, and him, and her, and her, and they're going to end up in our prison system. So we need to make sure we have a prison system large enough to hold that capacity of children and families. That's sad. So we don't want to have that happen in Colorado, especially in Pueblo County. We want to make sure that we as a community are there to support our children. So as you can see, this is a brain development. Everything that EPIC Pueblo does is based on our brain development and early literacy, because we feel if we can support those pieces of a child's young life that's happening so quickly when they're young, that we can have children that succeed as they grow and get older and become adults and are decision makers in our community. Because I don't know if you know this or not, but 90% of our brain develops between birth and age 5. Think about that. That's huge. So we need to support the children during those critical years. 10% develops throughout the rest of our life because we are always learning. We're always available in our brain to pick up and learn new things. So, but that's only 10% of our brain capacity. 90%, 0 to 5. Just think about how important that is for a minute. We need to nurture those brains. So that's what Epic Pueblo is really consistent about and has a strong belief in, and really wants to provide and do everything we can to support that. So if you look at this brain here, that's a brain of a 5-year-old. Both those brain scans are of a 5-year-old. And this one is a brain that has been nurtured, has been read to, has been talked to, has been touched, has been interacted with, had communication, and their brain has been nurtured and grown. And so a lot of the brain cells have developed, and that's what we want to see. Whereas this brain here, you see a lot of black matter. That brain has not been nurtured. That child has not been given the opportunity to be read to read, to learn to read, to grow and develop, and to have positive relationships. They may have been fed, and provided their basic needs. You see those news magazines on TV where children in third world countries, yes, they're kept, the infants are kept in cribs and they're fed and they're changed, but that's it. They're really not given much else. That's what happens. The brain does not develop. They need that other piece, that other strong, critical piece, that interaction, that love, that touching, that feeling. All of that needs to happen for a child's brain to fully grow and develop. So we need to do that and make sure it's happening. So again, remember that 90%, that is critical. That is so, so critical. Thank you for paying attention to that piece, because if you learn nothing else, as I tell my students at the end of the semester, if you learn nothing else this semester, remember that 90% piece, because it is incredibly important that we nurture that child's brain so that they can grow and develop. So how do we work with business leaders in our community? We educate them. We do presentations such as this for them. We've done presentations for a number of businesses throughout the community. I was very excited when our district attorney, Jeff Charsner, called me and said, his office called and said, Cindy, Jeff wants you to come out here and do a presentation for the entire staff, over 60 staff members on the DA's payroll. And he blocked off a whole afternoon, and we did presentations for them, because he said they can't do their job well working with families when they come through our doors if they don't understand this basic piece about brain development and supporting and nurturing families. We want them to have the compassion to know that maybe families are having problems because they may have not received the nurturing that they need. So we educate those businesses. We equip those business folks with information, and we work with their staff to help them understand, because a staff person that works for a company, regardless of what company it is, they're still a human being, and many of those staff members have families. And so we want to make sure that employers don't forget that this person that they've employed to do a job is a family person first. They have that responsibility. It doesn't go away from 8 to 5 or whatever their shift may be while they're working for their employer. They're still a family member, and life happens. Sometimes things come up. So we want to help those business owners and superiors and administration understand how critical to be aware of that family component for their workers, so that they can provide a strong support system for that piece of that worker's life. So we equip them with that information so that they can have family-friendly policies built into their company, so that if a family has a crisis, an emergency, health issue, or whatever, that the company says, you know what, you've been a good employee and you've worked hard for us, and we're going to work hard to make you get through this and help you get through this situation right now. And you need time to deal with it. We're going to give you time to deal with it. So that's kind of why we do what we do with the businesses. We want to engage them to be advocates. So when they go out there in the community and they talk to other business people, that they say, you know, we have family-friendly policies at our business. And this is working really great because we value our employees as human beings and as family members. And so we want to make sure other companies are doing the same. And how can we help you to do that? So we want to advocate. They have them advocate, because business people talk to business people. And if they hear it coming from others that are their peers, they're more likely to pay attention to it than if the employee comes and says, you know, you really need to have a better family-friendly policy. That may not go over so great. But if the business that they work with or partner with on some things say, you know, family-friendly policies are critical to our success as a business, then they listen, they pay attention. That's what we want to happen when we work with those business folks. And then we want to energize that business component, those business leaders in our community and government leaders. We want them to be excited about family-friendly policy, about children and families, and how we couldn't have businesses, we couldn't have our businesses be successful without supporting those workers in their role as families, as a part of a family. So it's really important to help them understand that. And if that means that they need to provide a policy that gives them so much money in their paycheck that they can use for childcare, that's a great use of and a great way to be family supportive. Or can they take some money out of the general budget to support a child care center, either on site for their employees, or that the parents can choose an off-site child care program that works best for their child. So we really work with those businesses to make them realize that they have a critical and important role in our community to support early childhood care and education, children and families. So that really is important to us. So some of the programs that we have going on is reading. Early literacy is so critical for us, and we really want to make sure that people are understanding how important it is. So we want to promote that lifelong reading through the availability of books. So we do provide books, free books in the community. We don't charge for any of our services, not our presentations, not our reading, our books, but we have to write grants, we have to get donations, we have to try to generate money so we can purchase books. Books are not cheap, and so, but we want every child in Pueblo County to have books of their own. Some children don't have that luxury. Parents can be in a situation that they have to decide, am I going to buy food for this week, or am I going to go buy the child some toys and some books? Food is going to always win out. That's the high priority, as it should be. Books are just as important, but parents feel like, we've got to keep the child alive, so we've got to feed them. Very important. So we want to make sure that every child has a book of their own. Yes, parents can take children to the library. We have a strong partnership with our Pueblo Library District here in Pueblo County, and they're very supportive, and we do a number of events and activities with them. But we also want to make sure that children not only can go check out books, but sometimes, you check it out and you find a book that is gets to your heart, or you really love, and you hate to have to turn it in, but that's what the library does. You have to check it out and check it in. Our books are given. Children can keep them for themselves. They can actually have a book of their own. And so that is our one of our parts of our mission, to go forward and to make sure every child has a book in this community. And we've distributed, hundreds of thousands of books over the years. We've been doing this for about 10 years now, and so we've distributed lots and lots of books. And then we provide presentations such as this to parents, to families, to businesses, as I said, to government people, whomever is interested, to educators. Educators in early childhood field need to have a minimum of 15 hours of ongoing training every year in order to meet Colorado state licensing requirements and keep up their licensing, and their education level is growing as they move through the years working with our young children. So we provide these presentations. They're free of charge. We don't charge for any of our services. We don't charge for the books. We don't charge for our trainings. We do partner with a variety of entities here in town to provide trainings. Health department is certainly one of those strong partners. That's why we're videotaping some, so families can actually access the information through working with their staff here at the health department. Rocky Mountain SARE, who is at 330 Lake Avenue, partners with us, and they sponsor a monthly presentation training such as this. On the first Thursday of the month from 5:30 to 7:30, we provide a light lunch or light supper, and then we get the training. And if you're an educator or a foster parent or someone that needs documentation that you have this training, we do provide certificates of attendance showing that you've attended this topic and this training on such and such a date. And so Rocky Mountain SARE has been really great. We've been doing this, we're going on 4 years now doing this every first Thursday of the month. So you're welcome to join us at any time. We do ask that you RSVP. At the end of the slide presentation today will be my contact. You can reach out to me, send me a text or an email, and let me know that you'd like to come to whatever month that is coming up, the training, so we can make sure we have enough food. As I said, we don't charge for them, but we do provide a light supper and we do provide some handouts. So we want to make sure we have enough for whoever's in attendance, as well as that if the room should fill up, then we will know that we can't take any more registrations. So, but please join us whenever, because you're more than welcome. And the audience that we pool are, of course, early childhood educators. We pool a number of parents, grandparents, foster grandparents, foster parents, as well as business folks, educators, elementary through college. They come. And all of our trainings, presentations are approved through Colorado Department of Education, Early Childhood Department, so that people that need that credential, need that to keep up their licensing requirements, this qualifies for them and at a no charge. So we invite you to join us for one of our trainings, as well as we do trainings in a variety of other places throughout the community as well. And different entities invite us to present for their population. Head Start has us out at least once a month to go and do a training for their families and sometimes and their staff and whomever. So we're out there in a variety of ways. And we want to make sure that we're supporting those early childhood professionals, because they need that ongoing training, not only to keep up licensing so they can continue working in the field that there is their expertise, but that they're getting new information, because even we have 43 topics, and even if they've heard one topic in the past, every time I do a presentation, I research, because this field is changing rapidly. And so I want to make sure that I'm always giving the newest and the latest research-based information at my trainings. So that way people aren't coming and say, oh, well, I've seen that training 10 times before. I don't need it anymore. This isn't really helpful. It will be helpful, because there's always something new. And because we're limited, and a 2-hour time frame isn't a lot of time by the time you eat dinner and you do the presentation. And I always include some kind of a hands-on activity, because people, we're all different learners. Some of us learn better by just watching and listening. Some people have to have hands-on, and they learn better that way. So I always try to make sure that we're addressing all learning styles. So please join us. And we want to make sure that we're supporting whomever comes to our trainings in a way that is meaningful to them. I never want anyone to leave and say, that was a big waste of time. I did not learn one thing. As I was going through my education, I thought if I went through any training or presentation, if I learned even 1 or 2 things, it was worth my time, because that was 1 or 2 things I didn't know before. Or I might have known some things but didn't know how to implement them. or learn different ways of doing them or whatever. So let's, as it says, it takes a big heart to shape little minds. So I'm very passionate about this field. That's why I do it. I retired from Pueblo Community College as a department director of the Early Childhood Children First Department. We served 11 counties in southeastern Colorado to keep those educators trained and families trained and supported. So I really do believe that we need to keep giving back. We're never done educating and helping children and families. So those big hearts out there, we really appreciate them. So what do we have going on? Brown bag presentations, which this is one of them. So we're very thankful and grateful to the health department for sharing our information and wanting us to get this videotape to put in their library so families that they serve and work with have access to the information in a family-friendly environment. So we're really happy for that partnership. And as I told you, I talked about the Rocky Mountain SARE trainings that we do once a month. And it's always the first Thursday of the month. The only time we've ever missed in the 4 years is this year because July 4th was on the first Thursday. So we did take July off, but other than that, we've not taken it off. We try to make sure that we're always there for who needs us. We've established reading nooks throughout the community. So when you go in different businesses, you might see a corner that has some books from us because we know when parents have to go and do business and they have to take their children, they don't always have access to childcare where they can leave their child to go for an appointment. We want to make sure there's something there for the child to feel comfortable while mom and dad are trying to get business taken care of. And the 15-minute, Read Aloud 15-minute campaign, that's a national campaign. And I would really encourage all of parents to get online and pull it up. It has so much information. It is a wealth of information for families and educators. And there are posters you can download for your kids. There are games you can learn to play with them that support early literacy and brain development. But it's all in a fun, family-friendly kind of way, and there's no charge. And so you can download anything or play the games online. They just have so much going on. And we have been a partner with that national campaign for probably about 8 years now. So, and it's a great one that I recommend, that if you're a family or an educator or a grandparent or somebody that's interested in young children and have those relationships in their life, that you really look at that website. We've partnered with El Pueblo Museum with their Beyond Storytime. That has kind of taken a back burner since the pandemic, and they've had some staff changes. So once they get all settled again, we'll probably get going with that. But we've did that for a number of years for those littles that, they're not in preschool, they're not in school yet, but parents want to give them some kind of a fun experience. So that's always been a great program and partnership for us. We founded a scholarship at PCC for children that are going to the kids' college in the summer. So for parents that can't afford that. Although with the pandemic, again, that changed some things. But instead, they did still have their kids' college, but in a kind of a modified structure. So we provided books so that all the children would have a book during that kids' college event. The preschool reading program, we're still doing that. We didn't do it during the pandemic, but we did start it this school year, and we intend to continue it in the 24-25 school year and beyond. As long as we can, we take volunteers. If anyone has time and would like to volunteer in our volunteer reading program, we provide the books. We hook you up with a early childhood program, either in one of the school districts, one of the Head Start programs, in family child care homes, some early childhood program. You go in once a month. You take a book, a story, you read it to the children, and you have an interaction with that classroom, and then you leave the book there for the children in the classroom, teachers to enjoy. And so we're looking for volunteers for that on an ongoing basis. Those folks we've had that have volunteered absolutely love it. So please, if you'd like to do that, my contact information will be at the end of the presentation. We'd love to have you join that volunteer opportunity. If you have time and you really love doing working, short bits, you're usually in and out within an hour. I did it last year for 2 classrooms at one of the elementary schools, and about a half an hour in each classroom, and I was gone. And you can do as many classrooms as you like, but get a hold of us because we're always looking for our volunteers, readers. And then, of course, our book distribution. And if you go to our website, if you're with a company or an organization, we will provide books. If you're an individual, you're welcome to apply. There's a short policy you need to read, and then there's a short form you need to fill out. It's about 8 questions, very simple. And then once you're done filling that out, you click on submit. It goes to a committee made up of board members, myself, and some community members. We look at the request and how many books and what you're going to do with them, and then we approve, and we approve for however many that we have on that we can afford at the time, because books have gotten very expensive. We have to buy the books by individual price, which is, you all know, if you buy books, they're not cheap. So we want to make sure that we're getting books out there in a variety of areas within our community, so that children, no matter what door they walk through, where they live, where they hang out at, they will have the opportunity to get some free books as well. So those are some of the things we have going on that we really are passionate about. So why do we do it? Our driving force is really to make sure every child is ready to learn and ready to read when they get to kindergarten, because we feel that those early years are so critical. And as I said before, 90% of our brain is developed within the first 5 years. We have got to support families and children in those years, because that is a critical time of growth and development for a human being. We don't want any of our children to be left out of that. So that's our goal and our mission, and that's what drives us. We have a passion for that. And because the first few years, for a child, those are fun years. Everything's new. They're learning, they're growing, they're developing. Everything's exciting and fun, and we want to support that, because that's what it should be. And if a child is excited and fun, they're learning, they're growing, and they're developing. They do it in a different way. They do it in a fun way. They do it engaged in any activity that they're doing all day, every day. So we want to support that. And because brain development is so, so important. There's been lots and lots of research over the last 20 or so years, serious research about that early brain development that has shown us how critical it is, how important it is, how we need to take responsibilities as a community to nurture all of our children's brain. And so that's what Epic Pueblo wants to do, is lead the community in that effort, because we have the expertise, we have the knowledge, and we're willing to share that. So brain development is so on top of our list. It's one of those foundational pieces that makes us who we are. James Heckman was a Nobel laureate in economics. He was an economist. He was not an educator, a professional early childhood or upper education educator. He was an economist, and he looked at what makes a healthy economy in each community. What really is important for that to happen? And through his many years of research, he found out that promoting and supporting early childhood development in community is critical. It's way up there. It is one of those things that if we don't do it in a community, communities are not going to be strong and healthy, and many times they won't survive because we're not supporting our youngest members. As I tell some of the students when I was teaching at the college, that, when I get to the age that I need to be cared for in my later years, and I'm getting closer every day, that if I need to be placed in a care setting, that I want whoever is caring for me to be attentive, to be understanding, to be caring, and to really be supportive of me as a human being. And so in order for our children to gain that empathy as they grow and develop from little people into responsible adults leading our communities, we have to start when they're little. We can't wait and expect to teach them empathy and caring and loving when they're adults if they never learned it as a child. So I want somebody else to be there caring for me in my later years that has all those qualities. And that's one of the reasons we do it, because it makes our community as a whole stronger and loving and caring and healthier. So with that, we certainly do what we do to promote brain development and early literacy. And I'm a big believer in quotes. There's so many smart and brilliant people out there that have said some amazing things and send some really strong messages that I feel are just so critical to what we do. And certainly Mr. Rogers is one of my favorites. And he has said, "You've made this day a special day by just your being you. There's no person in the whole world like you, and I like you just the way you are." And that's what we need to have all children feel, that they're special, that they've made us and our day special, that there's nobody else like them. They are unique. They have some qualities that it makes them who they are. And that is because of parents and supportive family members and community members and people that have interacted with them in their growth and development have made them that special person. So we want to support that as we go forward. And so alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much. Mr. Rogers was a wise man, and many of us grew up to him, listening to him. And so if you ever get a chance to see any of his reruns and watch them with your children, listen as an adult to what he has to say, because then you really see the messages. Whereas the children, they're having the fun. They don't realize they're learning those messages, and they're having fun, and they're growing. So he was a unique individual that taught so many of us so much. So again, as I said, here's my contact information. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions or would like further information, or if you'd like to attend one of our trainings. I do have a Facebook page, Cindy Bernal. You're welcome to get on it, and we post the flyer for each month's training at Rocky Mountain SARE on the first Thursday of the month. We'll try to get that posted about 2 weeks ahead of time. Rocky Mountain SARE prepares those flyers for us, so as soon as I get it from them, I send it out on my Facebook page. They send it out on theirs, and people share it all over, and so you'll know what the topic is going to be. So please enjoy your children, enjoy life, and we are here to support you. We are always here. And just remember the question that you need to ask yourself when you're thinking about doing things or getting your child involved. Is it good for the children? Is it good for my child? And if you can honestly say yes, then go for it. I'm supportive. Thank you. Have a great day.